Welcome to Tales of a Wanderer, a place where time stands still and stories echo through the frost-bitten silence of forgotten lands. Tonight, we follow a man and 27 souls into the heart of Antarctica, where ships are crushed by ice, and hope is the only flame that never freezes. Sit back, breathe deep, and let the snow carry you to the far edge of the world.
It was the year 1914, when the world tilted toward war, but somewhere far from the trenches and thunder of Europe, a different kind of journey was about to begin. His name was Sir Ernest Shackleton, a man of ambition, of dreams carved into maps and ice. He assembled a crew, strong, hopeful men. Some were seasoned sailors, others eager novices. Together, they boarded the ship named Endurance, a name that would soon echo with cruel irony across the coldest place on Earth. The plan was bold, to cross the Antarctic continent on foot, from sea to sea, over the pole, a journey no human had ever dared complete. With dogs, sledges, and supplies loaded, Endurance set sail from South Georgia Island and into the heart of the Weddell Sea. Days passed, then weeks. The ship carved a narrow path through ice that grew thicker, denser, until the sea itself became a frozen prison, trapped. They waited, at first hopeful, expecting the thaw. But the ice held tighter, squeezing wood like bone between teeth. Time slowed. Routines were made. The men played football on the ice, wrote in their journals, laughed to hide the creeping fear. They named the ice ridges like neighborhoods, Pressure Town, Cathedral Spires. They ate ration tins of pemmican and biscuits. Frank Hurley, the expedition photographer, risked frostbite to capture the beauty and the madness. Then, one night, the groaning deepened. The timbers of Endurance howled. Cracks splintered down the hull. Water gushed in. She was dying. Shackleton gave the order, abandon ship. The men gathered what they could, sleeping bags, charts, cameras, and the ship's cat, Mrs. Chippy. They pitched camp on the ice. The ship that had carried them so far sank in silence. There they stood, 28 men, surrounded by nothing but ice, wind, and thousands of miles from rescue. No radio, no path forward, only Shackleton's voice, calm, firm. We will survive. Not a life will be lost. And so began the true test of endurance. The men of the Endurance had now accepted their frozen fate. Shackleton gathered the crew after breakfast, a thin porridge stretched with seal meat. Around the flickering flame of a blubber stove, he spoke calmly. "Gentlemen, the ship is lost, but we are not. Our duty now is survival." Day after day they toiled to salvage what they could from the trapped vessel. Cases of food, tools, scientific equipment, all dragged across uneven shifting ice. The dogs howled in the cold. Their breaths froze mid-air as they heaved and pulled, forging makeshift camps atop the floes. Nights were the cruelest. Sleep came in shivers, curled in damp furs, listening to groans from the ice below. They played cards by the dull light of a tin lantern, shared tales of home, sang sea shanties, sometimes off-key, but full of spirit. Worsley, the navigator, scratched notes in his journal each night. Pressure increasing, ice groaning underfoot, spirits surprisingly high. It was Shackleton's presence, steady, calm, resolute, that held the line between order and despair. He made sure every man had purpose. One repaired boots, another hunted seals. Even the biologist was tasked with watching the penguins. For science, Shackleton had joked. One night, they heard the Endurance scream, a deep, mournful wrenching, as if the ocean itself had exhaled through splintering timbers. She was breaking. The men stood in silence as her mast tilted. Stars above, endless white around them, and their home, their ship, swallowed by the ice. They raised a toast with what little rum remained. To the Endurance, may her spirit outlast the ice. And with that, they turned toward the unthinkable, dragging lifeboats across miles of ice, toward the promise of open water. Hope was a compass now, and they would follow it, one frozen step at a time. Weeks turned into months. Shackleton and his men had crossed frozen seas, but now stood before their greatest challenge, the final stretch, a desperate push across South Georgia's mountainous spine. No map, no clear path, only instinct and sheer will. Shackleton selected just 2 men to go with him, Worsley and Crean. The rest stayed behind at the remote whaling station, exhausted, frostbitten, and starving, clinging to hope. With little food and only 50 feet of rope, they began their climb. The mountains were jagged, winds merciless, the fog thick as wet wool. They moved without rest, without sleep, for 36 straight hours, sliding down icy slopes with nothing but luck, navigating cliffs under moonlight, until finally, through the mist, they saw it, the whaling station, civilization, life. Shackleton stumbled in, bearded, gaunt, eyes hollow but burning with purpose. The station master froze, recognizing the face once thought lost to the sea. "My name is Shackleton," he said, and the room fell silent. Rescue was not immediate. Shackleton made 4 attempts to return for his men, ice turning ships away again and again. But finally, on the 4th try, he returned, and not a single man was lost. All 28 souls of the Endurance survived. What they endured was more than cold, more than starvation or despair. It was a test of the human spirit, one few could comprehend. Today, the name Shackleton stands for something more, for honor, for leadership, for the will to bring others home. A tale not of conquest, but of endurance.
And so, after years of hardship, frozen silence, and relentless hope, the men of the Endurance returned home, not as warriors bathed in glory, but as survivors, etched with ice and perseverance. Ernest Shackleton, a man of vision, a man of duty, left behind no riches, no empire, only a legacy carved into the hearts of those who believe in the impossible. Even now, over a century later, the Antarctic winds still whisper their tale of crushed ships, long marches, and a leader who refused to let a single man fall behind. We may never know all their thoughts, all their fears, but we know this. They endured. They inspired. They proved the unbreakable strength of the human spirit. And if you listen closely, out there in the cold silence of the world, you just might hear them still. Walking, rowing, surviving. This was the story of the Endurance. And this was a tale of a wanderer. Until next time, thank you for listening. And may your own journey be filled with courage and quiet wonder.